just so you can be relaxed and alert at the same time. Welcome. Yeah, come in a little bit more because more people will come in, and just leave an open route so everyone can get in. Chairs are here. Wherever you feel best, you can switch from floor to chair. It's not necessary to sit on the floor. So maybe just for the beginning part, we could turn the lights down a little bit over here. So this is one of the basic universal practices of spiritual life, which is taking time to personally come in contact with the divine. In every part of the world, you'll find that people have some system of japa. And oftentimes, and in most cultures, there's some kind of counting method. There are, in Japan, wherever I visit, people have some prayer beads. They're also in Christian circles, rosary and other kinds of beads that one can chant on. And there's the system of repetition of the divine names of God. And this is a very personal way of praying. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago, who's an avatar of Krishna. Avatar means one who crosses down. The literal meaning of it is one who comes from a higher position to a lower position to offer something of value, a spiritual practice, so those below can lift themselves up. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that if you take time to repeat the names of the Supreme, then you'll be personally in touch with Krishna. And the system for what we call Japa, and if you don't have beads, it's okay also. You can also count on your fingers, or you can just repeat the name without counting for now. The main point is to keep your mind on the vibration of the name. So the mantra that we repeat is what's called the Hare Krishna mantra. Come on in, leave that space open there because more will come in, and make yourself comfortable. Floor, chair, everything's allowable. And maybe if you're already sitting and you don't need a backdrop, move in a little closer because more are likely to come. Probably because we made such a big deal about getting here before the sunrise. And congratulations for those who came. It's a big deal. So it's very helpful to get centered and into an awareness of the chanting. So the main challenge is to be aware that you're chanting. As we all know, you can read a passage from a book and then not know what you read. Because the mind is divided, it goes in another place. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vyavasaya vika buddhir ekeha kurunandana. Ekeha means one-pointed attention. And when you make that one-pointed attention on the sound of the mantra, then you have the mantra, you have your mind, and they become one thing. So you're one-minded on the mantra. And when we first start chanting, we may notice that the mind starts to do housekeeping. It's thinking, where did I park? Is it really a free zone? Am I going to get towed? I have emails to write. There are many, many duties the mind thinks it has to do. But when we enter into the realm of japa, we come into this one-pointed realm where we think, whatever's to be done elsewhere, let it just be done by focusing right here. No need to go anywhere else or try to perform any other duty, and stay completely fixed on the mantra. And when the mind goes away, which it will, then just gently bring it back into hearing the mantra over and over again. So I'm going to read an instruction that Srila Prabhupada gave to one of his disciples in a letter in 1970, and he said, "When we chant, we must concentrate our mind on the sound vibration, and in that way everything will be revealed one after another, the form, the qualities, pastimes, etc. of the Lord. And this is the way of cultivating spiritual realization." So everything's complete within the name, and our only job is to say the name and then hear it. So as far as holding the beads, we use these two fingers, thumb and middle finger, and it's a way that you can hold the bead and maybe move it a little bit while you're chanting. And when you finish one mantra on one bead, then you catch the next bead. So just a little more light for a second. I start here and I'm chanting. Can everyone see? Sorry about that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Now I catch the next beat. And then Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. So this is a way of helping to concentrate and staying on one mantra. And if you can fix your mind on one mantra at a time, it doesn't matter which mantra you're on, because you just want to be in the present with the mantra and hear it. And once you chant one mantra, then just focus on the next one and try to be in a timeless space where you're not worried about speed, just concentration. It's a relief because the mind wants to go so many places, but now you can just give permission to be in one place, just on the mantra. So let's see. Maybe you can help make sure everyone gets a good seat. And yeah, because more and more are coming. There's chairs if you need it at any time and you want to sit in a chair as well. Okay, welcome. So what we'll start with is everyone just please close your eyes for a moment and then be aware of your breath and take a few breaths and count 4 counts on the exhale and 4 counts on the inhale. And relax, but keep an alert mind and be aware of your breath. And let everything go. Any concerns, just let them float away like clouds and breathe. Now become aware that you're sitting somewhere on a planet in a universe. The world's going on around you. And your main power, your superpower, is your attention. Be aware of your attention. And for a moment, just try pointing your attention to your right hand. Forget everything else. Just bring all your awareness to your right hand. And now watch how you can move your attention to your left foot and let it rest there for a minute. And now become aware of any thought energy you have in your mind. And just notice that you're the watcher. You're sitting in a safe space and you can watch the thoughts go by, whatever they may be. Objectify them, be aloof, and just watch them go by. And just notice that you're sitting in a body, but you're the watcher, you're not your body. And then be aware that there's a presence of intelligence. When you want to discern something, that intelligence comes to you. The way a benevolent parent will give you some wisdom. This is coming from the super soul, our source. So we're in the body, and there's also the presence of Krishna, who's there also alongside us in the heart. And the mantra is a way of us turning our attention back to the super soul. So take a couple more breaths. And then we'll start with a mantra that allows us to walk through the gateway to the chanting. I'll say the mantra in a few words and then you can repeat. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Now, just for a few minutes, we'll chant in unison. And after we chant in unison, then we'll stop and we'll break off and chant individually. So I'll start with the pace of the Hare Krishna mantra, and we'll all chant at the same speed and just feel what the vibration feels like. And we'll notice our power of concentration on the mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And now close your eyes and just in your mind chant the mantra. At whatever pace you can, and just we'll go for 10 mantras in your mind and just notice the momentum from the chanting and also see how your mind is on focusing just by itself without the vocal on the mantra. And we'll go 10 times at your own speed, the Maha Mantra. Okay. And open your eyes. And just a couple minutes, any feedback you have from what the experience was of chanting together or doing 10 mantras silently in your mind? Any challenges or feelings that you had while you were chanting? Sharing means caring. Yes? Sorry.
Definitely like a flow of energy that, I had some anxiety in my chest, but it kind of just like went underneath it and like soothed it. And it was just kind of like a healing, flowing of sensation throughout my subtle body.
Oh, thank you very much, Bhakti Kevin. Yeah, we have a gross body, we have a subtle body, and as Prabhupada puts it in one of his purports, that by chanting the mantras, then all the energies become synchronized, because Krishna is the source of all energies, including all the energies in our body. So it brings everything into sync. Any other thoughts, experiences? Yes. We'll pass you the microphone. It's just because there are people online listening and they want to hear what you have to say.
Me, all perception of individual control just dropped away.
Keep that close to your mouth, please.
All perception of individual control was pretty much gone.
And how did that feel?
Pretty much is still gone.
And
Yeah. It just felt like you said, the watcher, like the body is just chanting, and kind of even the perception of my voice is distinct from like all the voices, and even not just the mantra, but I could hear the beads, if somebody sniffles or, makes a certain noise. It didn't feel like different people. It just felt like all of it was just happening at the same time.
Oh, thank you for sharing. It brings us into a greater state of awareness of things that we might not have noticed before. Yes, please.
I was actually having a little bit of trouble, just feeling uncomfortable in my sitting position. But even after we were finished and we started chanting in our mind a little bit, all of a sudden I just felt immense amount of concentration. So I thought I wasn't doing good during the actual chanting on the beads, but I guess something about just the resonation or the vibration really brought me into a state of concentration when everything went silent. So that was nice.
And this can happen in general when we do our japa in the morning, and you may not notice the immediate results, but then when you walk out the door, go into the world, you'll notice that you're in an elevated state of consciousness. There's a residual effect throughout the day that this chanting has. And I sit on this zafu. When I travel, I bring this. It's an inflatable zafu. Zafu is a meditation cushion. When you keep your hips a little above your knees, it's a much easier to sit like this, cross-legged on the floor. And the main point is not that you have to sit on the floor. It's just to be in a comfortable position so that you don't have to squirm or feel like you're holding yourself, that something's hurting. So that's one of the important points of japa, be comfortable. You can even pace. You have to be careful when you pace, because then the mind starts to move faster. So it's good to have the experience of sitting and just concentrating on the mantra, but if you need to, at some points, to just walk slowly back and forth and keep the mantra going so that you feel comfortable. Anybody else like to share what the experience was? Yes.
Whenever I chant, and also in this experience, I always realize how much I'm not, how little I'm in control of my mind. But it really makes me appreciate this process of chanting, that it's like a process, and that if I just keep doing it, then although I can't control my mind and force it to do what I want, I can influence it with my practice. And slowly over time, by being consistent, then I'll be able to influence my mind in a way that I'm happy with.
Thank you very much, Yogetrata. The consistency is very important. Has over time the result of us being able to make the mind a friend. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the mind can be our friend or our enemy. And if we take time to make friends with our mind by allowing it to concentrate on the chanting, then gradually, we'll notice that it becomes more friendly and helpful to us. So now we can try some individual chanting, which means that we'll all chant at our own pace and just see what that feels like, saying the mantra aloud to yourself. And the other thing is, at any time, if you feel uncomfortable, take a chair. We have one there. There's still a little room on the couch if you find that comfortable. Pardon me? Oh, there's one back there too. So the rule is be comfortable. Doesn't matter where you sit. Just make sure that you feel like you can relax and be alert at the same time. And I'll just tell you a quick story before we start chanting again. And that is that there was a hunter who was in a very dark place. He felt that his life was just full of violence and killing. And he wanted to reform himself, but he felt like he was in a deep, dark pit. You want to take that chair? Yeah. Okay, I'm just making sure. And he met a great teacher who introduced him to the chanting of the Maha Mantra. In fact, he simplified it for him. He just gave him one word from the mantra, which was Rama. He told him to chant Rama. And this hunter was in such a lowly position in his life that he said, I'm too disturbed. My mind is so low from having been engaged in so much killing for so long. And my mind is just unrestricted. And I don't feel worthy to chant the sacred name Rama. I can't do it. And so the teacher then said, well, I'll give you a different mantra then. You can chant the name of death, since you've been so absorbed in death. And the name of death is Mara. So he said, instead of Rama, you chant Mara. And keep chanting and just don't stop. And so this person, the hunter, took the advice and chanted Mara, 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 Mara. And if you'll notice, you'll say it 5 times. Try it. Mara, Mara, Rama, 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 Rama. You come back to Rama anyway. And as he kept chanting, then he became absorbed. And then his mind was fixed on the mantra, Rama. And he became himself a celebrated sage named Valmiki, who was able to envision the pastimes of Ramachandra. And he wrote the Ramayana. So there's 2 rules out of all the rules in all the scriptures, because there's many different pieces of advice, but the main 2 rules are this. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. All the other rules are subservient to that. And in chanting japa, the main thing is remember the mantra. Just keep your mind absorbed in it, and when the mind goes away, just bring it back to the mantra. It's really simple. And it's the same thing, meditating on the mantra as remembering Krishna. If you just keep going, then all good things will emerge from that chanting. So shall we try again? Yes, were you going to ask? Yes, sure.
You've been practicing for like a really long time. Does the mantra help you to come back to just the present moment in your daily life? Just to be able to come back to like just, the present moment. Because like when you come back to the mantra, when you're chanting, like I know it, like everything else, all those thoughts dissipate. Does it help you with that?
It helps me immensely. When I'm home back in Burlingame, I oftentimes, especially in warmer weather, I sit out in my garden. I have a certain place where I sit before the sun comes up, and I feel fully present for everything that's going on. I start to notice that I've not noticed a lot of things, and the mantra brings me right into the present, and especially for the sunrise, that it's like a symphony occurring around me, things that I didn't notice before because I'm there present with the mantra. I notice them, yes. Very much helps with that. Yes.
I just remember last night at the meeting you told us what the different words in the chant meant. I was
Yes.
wondering if you could just repeat that.
Yes. Hare comes from Hara. Hara means the Supreme Mother. She's the nurturer who takes care of everyone. And then Krishna. Krish means all attractive. Everything that's attractive to us in this world, we just turn our head and say, oh, what was that? It's so beautiful. It's all there in Krish. And Na comes from Ananda. Ananda means bliss, where you're happy for no reason. And it's not tied to anything. It's just your nature to be happy. And then Rama means the supreme pleasure. Everyone's looking for happiness in this world, but the happiness we get here has a beginning and an end. So we get disappointed and frustrated because I thought it would satisfy me. It seemed like happiness, but then it turned into something else. Rama is the kind of pleasure that doesn't diminish, it doesn't end. Just like a beam of light, if you shine it into the sky, theoretically it'll keep expanding eternally like that. And so that's Rama, the highest pleasure. And they all refer back to the personal expansion, Krishna, and his energies, his internal energies, his spiritual energies. So they're all personal at the same time. Okay? So now let's chant. Use everything that you know so far just to bring your mind into the mantra. Relax, but be very alert to the mantra, and just keep chanting and fixing your mind on the sound vibration. And we'll come back and compare notes in just a little while. Everyone ready? Okay? Hare Krishna. Just one quick interjection. In the story of the Ramayana, you might have heard of the character of Hanuman. Has anybody heard of Hanuman? He was a monkey. You might have seen him. Many people keep pictures of him. Even Obama had a little icon of Hanuman he kept in his pocket wherever he went. Because Hanuman he becomes the hero of the Ramayana, and he helps to save Ramchandra, who's another incarnation of Krishna's wife, Sita, who's another incarnation of Radharani, who had been kidnapped by an ogre named Ravan. In any case, when Hanuman is born, he has these superpowers, but he's just a little baby monkey, and baby monkeys do all kinds of crazy stuff. So he was made to forget his superpowers until much later, when they were needed for him to jump across the ocean to go save Sita. He jumped across from the tip of South India all the way to what is called Ceylon or Lanka. That's a place where Sita had been taken away and was being held captive. So he remembered his superpowers, and then he was able to leap a wide expanse across the ocean. And all of us have a superpower because we're little parts of the Supreme. We're fragmental parts of Krishna. Our consciousness is much more powerful than we know. And when we forget about it, we just diffuse it. It goes off in all kinds of different directions. We don't even know that we're creating situations for ourselves, just like the baby monkey didn't know. Hanuman didn't know how he was getting into trouble. Everybody else knew that he had superpowers, and then they made him forget his superpowers for some time until he needed them. So Japa is the time when we bring our superpower back. And we remember it because if you're able to focus your awareness, especially on the transcendental sound vibration, then it's the main purpose of the consciousness is to be reconnected with our source, with the Supreme Consciousness, Krishna. And you can do that by focusing on the sound of the mantra. And so now we'll just remember our superpowers, even though we've forgotten them. And our main superpower is our attention and our free will to bring our attention to anywhere we wish. And it's really important in the Japa period to remember that it's my choice where I place my attention. Nobody else can force you. Somebody can put your body in jail or whatever, but you can still bring your attention to where you want to bring it. We always have that superpower. And where attention goes, energy flows. Wherever you put your attention, that's where all your energy is going to go. And so the highest place to place one's attention is in the source of our consciousness, who's Krishna. So let's try for the next 10, let's say 20 mantras, to very deliberately use your superpower of your attention and bring it into the mantra. Notice that it's your free will to focus on the sound of the mantra. And when you notice that it goes somewhere else, then very deliberately use your free will to bring it back to the sound of the mantra. And maybe see if you can note how many times your mind goes away to some other place. And you don't have to be upset about it, but just very gently note it, or gently bring your mind back and put a little post-it note. Oh, my mind went here, my mind went there, and now I'm coming back to the mantra. So we'll try that for the next few minutes. Just be aware that you're chanting. That's the only assignment. And then when your awareness goes away, just gently bring it back. Ready? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So in a couple minutes, anybody would like to, will go for a short walk, just to feel what it's like to walk around outside after you chanted. And also we can continue to chant while we're out there. And just see, I'd like to see if you have any observations about the chanting, your experience of coming here, getting up early to come, and what it was like sitting in the Japa circle. Yes.
When we did that practice to specifically bring our attention to the mantra, I was appreciating how beautiful the sound is. And there's a certain amount of charm and sweetness. And by just giving the attentions, I noticed that the right attitude in relationship to the chanting kind of revealed itself automatically without any separate endeavor.
That's really important. If your mind becomes interested in the mantra or perceives something in the mantra, then it means that you're coming into a level of absorption. And even if you're able to touch that only for about 1 second during a session of chanting, it'll transform your perspective. That's the power of the mantra. What other observations do you have? They don't all have to be positive. You can talk about any struggles you had to.
I was contemplating where this flow of, like you described yesterday, ambrosia, like this liquid coolant that was just like flowing constantly. I was wondering where it was coming from, and then it just, reminded me of, how Krishna is pleased by the devotee and the reciprocation between devotees. So I was thankful for your association and being surrounded by your followers who are here to open that storehouse of bliss that comes from Krishna. And within all that, I was thinking, okay, who am I, Krishna? Like, where am I? Where is my heart? Please show me.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Yeah.
At certain points, there would be pains in my body during the japa session, but I would just try to use that pain as an offering, so to speak, because Krishna has given me so much. And I know in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, we're doing austerities in our normal life, trying to serve our body or our job or whatnot. And so just to keep a proper mindset, I just say, okay, yes, my foot kind of hurts right now, but I'm doing that for you, Krishna, because you've done so much for me.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like similar to me, as I'm chanting, I feel the call from Krishna to move to, I liked how you said that, if you don't feel comfortable in the spot, like you feel a pain, to just move. So I stood up, I started moving around as I was chanting, and that led me also to change how I was chanting too, like even the tone of my voice. Like sometimes it was more singing, sometimes it was more monotone, other times it was just in my mind. And I kind of lost the need to do it in any particular way, but just to do it however it felt right to do it, which was really cool. This is like also another like funny thought I had like right toward the beginning, or I guess like before you talked the second time, when everyone started chanting on their own pace. It felt like I was experiencing what it felt like to be a bee in like the hive with like all the bees like buzzing. I felt like it was like similar to that. Yeah.
To your first point, the other part to earlier about there's only 2 rules. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. And there's a similar directive which says yena tena prakarena mana Krishna nivesha. Yena tena means one way or another stay in remembrance. So you may adjust this way or that way, but one way or another just try to be conscious of Krishna. Thank you for sharing. 2 more and then we'll go for a walk. Yes. 1, 2, 3.
When I chant, I think that there's more mental dust that comes up. Could you please share your realizations about this?
Well, we don't notice the. If you've ever noticed that you can live in a space and you're busy, you're studying, and you think I got to finish my studies so I get ready for the midterm or whatever, and you don't really even notice how the room's getting dusty just from you living in there. But then the one day you say, okay, I'm going to clean the room today, and then you look and you say, wow, this is really dusty. But when you start to clean, then you think, wow, there's that dust everywhere. I should paint the room too. And it's a matter of how powerful our awareness is. Wherever we place our awareness, we'll start to notice the details. Otherwise, it's easy to be somewhere and not be there at the same time. And in the chanting, it's a cleansing process, and we start to notice our own situation. Otherwise, you can just live your life through and take on all these kinds of conditional thoughts, and all the dust is there, and you just adapt to it and live an unconscious life. So this is one of the main practices of becoming conscious of our state. Okay, 1, 2, and we'll go. Or 3, I don't know, maybe there's more.
Yeah, on this point of always thinking about Krishna and never forgetting Krishna, when we're chanting, is it okay to think about Krishna and maybe like his form or a picture that we like or something that we read, or should we be like strictly focusing on the sound?
Well, there's no absolute stereotype. It's yena tena prakarena, one way or another. Remember Krishna. But some of our acharyas have said, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, don't try to artificially keep bringing the form of Krishna. He said the name itself, as is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, says iti murtyabhidanena mantra murtim amurtikam. The word murti means a form. And so, although it sounds, it takes a while to accept the understanding of this, the sound itself, the mantra, contains the form. It's already there. So Narada Muni says, iti murtyabhidanena mantra murtim amurtikam yajite yagyihe yasam yag darshana puman. That you get the full experience of seeing the form of Krishna if you listen carefully to the mantra. So you don't have to artificially think, I got to bring the form back into my mind and then remember Krishna. spend most of your mental energy just trying to hear the sound and feel the form. I'll read you the point Prabhupada makes here. Here I am. He says, when we chant, we must concentrate our mind on the sound vibration, and in that way everything will be revealed one after another. The form, the qualities, pastimes, etc. of the Lord, and this is the way of cultivating spiritual realization.
So does it, like the form and those pastimes, like one day if you're really absorbed, do they just pop up in the mind?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Stuff
Wow.
pops up in our mind all day long, right? But when you're practicing devotional service and you in your mind and in your heart also, your heart is part of your mind. In fact, modern research is revealing now that the heart actually has brain cells in it. There are neurons in the heart. And we think with our heart also. So when you become attached to things related to Krishna and so forth, you start developing this spontaneous way that you just remember your association with devotees, the holy name, the kirtan last night, I'll never forget that one. And, these things become cumulative, part of your heart's memory. And it's very spontaneous that when you're chanting, like you'll think of a time you're in Vrindavan and you had a feeling there that, is very transcendental, and it'll just come to you naturally. But you don't have to artificially, say, oh, now I'm going to, bring the form into my mind.
And we shouldn't push those out if they do come, or should we?
Don't push Krishna out if he decides to come into your mind. Krishna, I'm not supposed to, it's okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good questions, very important.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the lesson. It was really enlightening. And I just want to touch on the last two shares that Jagatrata and Dr. Danny said. So this is like a mental house cleaning when we're doing this, and focusing our attention on the sound vibration as a form itself can be also feel like a task sometimes, just even focusing our attention. But like the house cleaning with the mental dust, like how a person cleans a house, like is it proper to be sure that the brain itself has the proper rest, like how a person gets like enough proper rest to be doing house cleaning or take on a chore, like their body has to be properly like physically rested to be able to take on that task. In the same way, is the mind itself like is it proper for us to give the mind the proper rest, like what you touched on yesterday, like going to bed at an earlier time, so our brain has the proper rest to take on that mental task of cleaning the dust in our mind and focusing on the form without having. So that's why our brain doesn't get distracted with other things inside. Is it because it's like a house cleaning? If we're not rested enough, we can have an accident trying to clean.
The answer is yes, and yes, and yes. In the very early days of ISKCON, there was a misunderstanding that cars took care of themselves. And whenever there was a temple car, which is all we had because nobody kept their individual cars when we were in the ashram, most places never took care of their cars. They never changed the oil. They never did anything. And had been in so many cars where the door fell off or the car caught on fire or whatever. And then devotees started to realize that, you have to take care of a car. It's not, material engagement to make sure you change the oil, make sure the axle fits in the wheel and things like that. And our body's a car. So it's also not spiritual just to torture your body. Don't sleep enough, or to not exercise, or to eat any old thing and then think that you're going to be able to chant nicely. You could eat a huge feast late at night and sleep 3 hours, and then you chant like. So yes, you have to take care of body, mind, and spirit. All of these things have to be balanced. Prabhupada, he was elderly, and he went for He went for a vigorous walk every day, and he also got massage twice a day, just so he could keep his body going. So now we're going to. Important question. Thank you very much. Now we'll go for those who would like just a walk around the neighborhood and get a little air, see the sun come up. And we'll come back here, have a short class, and then we'll go out and see if we can conquer the world. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming.